My name is Dominique, but I go by Dom. I'm originally from Maywood, Illinois, which is a small suburb right outside of Chicago. Um, what brought me to Loras, I would say, is my major. So I originally came in majoring with elementary special ed with an early childhood endorsement, and then I decided to change my mind last year, and we double majored and added on sociology. And so that's what brought me to Loras. I originally did not want to come to Iowa at all. I just wanted to get out of the Midwest. The winters are not for me, but here I am 4 years later, graduating and getting my degree. My experience my freshman year was very hard. When you come from a big city environment and your hopes are that where you're going to go is going to match that same energy, it was quite a reality check. I had a professor tell me that the snippet of my campus in the downtown area just right down the street was known as the ghetto because it was low income housing, Section 8. And for me, that was a reality of what they classify the ghetto and what I classify to be the ghetto. Not even the ghetto, just where those that don't come from much live. And for me, that was very unsettling because that made me think about a lot of the perception of what my teachers are going to view me as, and how do they view me? Is that going to change their perception of how they treat me, how they act towards me, how I get graded on papers and assignments, and kind of what that looked like, and then not seeing much of my own representation in terms of my race. Being bi-ethnic, it's very hard when you either fit in with one side of your race and you don't fit in with the other, or you fit in with your white culture and you don't fit in with your black culture. And so I think for me, coming here, that was very unsettling. I had to come here for my third time to really see my African American side represented on campus, and that's finally when I felt the comfort of even being okay with my decision in coming to Loras. So my first year, it was just very tough. I would say, when you don't see it, it's hard to just find that hope and belief that it's there once you make that decision. I think that me and that professor were able to build a stronger relationship in terms of where I came from and our relationship of him actually understanding who I was as an individual and my life struggles. Throughout the years here, I will say that I've definitely experienced a type of racism within faculty and staff. And I think that was very disheartening for me because I know the president of this college. I know the great man that he is and what he strives for this college and institution to represent and to be. And so I think that when I experienced that, it was just a real strong sense of discomfort and kind of questioning, like, why and where is this coming from? I definitely think if they aren't aware, that it even creates a more unsettling feeling because you feel like, how much more can you take? And what more can I say for me to feel like my voice is heard? And if you don't feel like your voice is heard, you get tired of preaching and you get tired of having to go about the proper ways of reporting such issues to feel like the racial tension and the racial issues are no longer of concern. So I think for me, navigating that space has been tough, but I've learned to say, like, you have to advocate for yourself if it's something you really want to see the change done in, and you really want, and even if I'm that person that makes a difference, to know that I can advocate for not only myself, but for others in the long term. Is something that I feel like I have to do. It's like my obligation to do. I would say that we finally obtained an African American faculty within our Center for Inclusion and Advocacy. And I think for me that it sat well with me. I was actually excited and happy to feel like we finally have that representation through our faculty and our staff. It may not be a professor, it may not be a coach, but at least we have someone here that looks like us, that is us, that's sitting in higher ed. And I think that that was able to kind of pave the way for me to feel of more of my sense of belonging on campus. I think that institutions across the world could just do a better job of, instilling in order to have diversity, you have to have that represented within your faculty and your staff. You can't just have it in the student body. It's like if you're in grammar school or middle school. Younger kids constantly feel like their teachers can't relate to them. Why? If you don't have someone of their same color representing them, how do you feel like they're going to know that you understand them? And so I think that the more you can have that representation, the easier it would ease one's comfort for a student of color to feel welcome and to feel like they can belong. I would say it's strongly on representation because in my entire educational career, the only African American teacher I had was a substitute when I was in 5th grade, and then I did not see that representation again until high school, and once again that was a substitute teacher. And so I think that the fact that it's not exemplified and it's not resembled, it makes it very hard. You can have the diversity on campus, but if you're all not together and you're all not coming together as one, it makes it very tough to feel like you have a family, and it makes it a little bit more of a rougher experience. I think that even if you have organizations on campus too, it's the support and knowing that you have someone here. I didn't feel that support when I first came here. I definitely very much was so one-minded in, thank you for my scholarships, thank you for letting me be here, I will see you later. Later down the road, that turned around and backfired for me. So it's the fact of letting us know that we're not alone and that we have that support. And I think that if you don't have that support, you feel very isolated, you feel that you don't belong, you feel that this isn't the school or the place for you, whatever it may be. Those questions definitely start turning in your head. And so I think that the support factor is huge, but also not playing it to where it feels like, okay, you're only helping me because I'm a minority and you don't want me to look bad as a representation for your school. Right. I think my hopes are, right, that our school becomes more involved within the community in terms of supporting events, supporting our students. I know that life gets busy. I know that we all have things going on, but to truly show your support to your students of color in times like this that we're in society with Black Lives Matter, police brutality, and so much more, I think that it's important that you show your support. So my hopes are that we just don't build those relationships and say, okay, we have a relationship with our multicultural family center here, but that we actually build it so that students are going down there, students are having jobs down there, our students of color are interacting with the younger students of color so that they know that like once they get to further their education that it's there for them too. I think that my enjoyment that I get out of coming to Dubuque and coming to Loras is that you do have your friends here and you do have the supportive people that can give you that hope and that you just get that laughter from, that brings you memories of back home or just brings you of memories where you all know you're together as one, I think that our Black student union did a great job of that when we had our kickbacks, and we all just came together as one. And you'd be surprised at how many of us come from different areas, because you would have thought we all came from the same area, that we all lived in the same area. And I think that, like, that's when you can tell, like, where your home and your niche is, because it just feels like home. You don't feel like you have to go off campus to get it anymore. You don't feel like you have to connect with other students from other campuses, which there's nothing wrong with that, but there's nothing like your home away from home when you're on campus. And so those are kind of my hopes and the joys that I've had here at Loras. I think that understanding that, like, diversity is a choice, right? That you can only inform people on things that they want to know about. So trying to enforce diversity on us just because it's Black History Month, trying to enforce it on us because of the times that we're going through in society does not necessarily work. If a person wants to hear it and a person wants to understand where people of color come from, then it's your choice and your job to want to interact with us on a personal level and truly understand our struggles and the frustration of where things come from. For me in my lifetime, I think it's been extremely hard for people to understand that being bi-ethnic, you're two races, right? And so understanding that, like, while a lot of people and why I understand that white privilege is a thing, right, that it does exist, understanding that not all white people have white privilege, that not all white people have experienced that lifestyle, right? But also understanding that, like, my culture is also African American, and so that I have experienced some of those down effects and those side of things. You know, for me, I think that I've definitely learned how to advocate for myself in terms of that, of where I'm an equal, right? So that, unfortunately, it happens where I get treated a different way because what my complexion is viewed as, it's viewed as someone who's African American, right? But if we think about it and we date back to regular, like, olden times, I think about, okay, when the KKK was at its high, at its peak in society and in life, right? And I was of lighter complexion at the time, would I have passed for white? Would I have passed for Black? Which one would I have passed for? And so I think it's very important for people to understand and realize what you say and how you say it. Think about the way that that's going to impact a person of color or someone who's a minority. Think about the words that you're saying and the impact that can leave on someone. It can leave a long-term impact on them, whether you think it or not. I would say for all of the minorities and students on campus, right, we're not alone. I like them to all know we're here for one another. A lot of us, I wouldn't say a lot of us, but for some of us, we are first generation. We are the first in our family to obtain a college degree. We are the first to make these big steps and complete that and finish that final stretch and that mark. And so I think for a lot of us, we're doing this for our families, but we're doing it because we're proud of us. We're proud that we were able to get this far and, you know, make that mark. And so I think to know that we're all here for the same and the right reasons is the same and the right reasons why we're going to make it and we can graduate to move on and do bigger and better things with life.